What's the horniest thing you've ever done that you now realize was just plain stupid? I got an apartment with a guy years ago. We were definitely not dating, but the stupid young horny girl in me wanted to play sexy roommate apparently. I'd walk around in shirts and panties and would find the dumbest excuses to bend over and, like mentioned above, play sexy. I did end up hooking up with him a few times. But looking back at it now I just cringe at the fact that I used the bend and snap method from Legally Blonde to bone a guy. I've posted this a few times before, but I once stuck my in a Halo Reach disc. Gave a guy a blowjob in a movie theater in South Korea. We were watching Shrek 2. It was a packed theater. Don't know how we didn't get caught. When I was younger and hornier, I used to hump the porcelain sinks at my high school. Once I got a little too ferocious with it, and the paste holding it to the wall came apart, and the sink shattered. I'm pretty sure everyone was at lunch at the time, and it was one of the far bathrooms, so no one heard. I guess they just repaired it, and never figured out who it was. I spent 12 hours trying to get a sex mod onto Skyrim just to realize that there's a difference between Skyrim Special Edition and Skyrim. Drove an hour in the snow to bone a girl I met on Tinder. Nearly crashed my car twice. Me and this girl was always the last two off the school bus. When everyone else got off we would hold hands and that progressed into feeling each other up. Well, one day she told me her parents would be leaving for the afternoon after she got off the bus and invited me over. I was 15 at the time, so I rode my Honda 3-wheeler 8 miles in the cold so I could finally seal the deal with my school bus crush. Might not sound like a big deal, but miles on a 3-wheeler in the freezing cold was a pretty dumb move. The ride there was full of excitement. The ride home was full of regret. Masturbating and moaning audibly through my closed bedroom door, enough so my roommate, who was folding his dry laundry outside in the living room, must definitely heard. It went on for at least 5 minutes. We had lots of unreleased sexual tension. I was tipsy and sexually frustrated, and I'm pretty sure it was him, and not the other roommate, but still. Edited to say, it was a one-time thing, after over a year of living together. One time I was going on a date with a girl I liked, and wanted to shave my junk just in case. I didn't showered, but was still the slight smell of well junk. So me being the virgin I was tried to get rid of the smell by applying mint lotion. Freshly shaved and mint lotion, as you may know, do not mix. I was literally walking bow-legged around the bathroom fanning myself to try and cool off. I tried washing it off, but that only rubbed it in more. My area was like glowing red afterwards. After the movie I was still sore and in a bit of pain. So when in the parking lot she reached over to try and grab my crotch I snatched her by the wrist and told her I really appreciate it. I can't. At first she was offended, but when I explained it to her the next day she thought it was the funniest thing. We went on a few dates afterwards. When I was younger I rubbed one out, or attempted to rub one out, using toothpaste. Mint toothpaste. It burned. I regret it. Trigger warning, penis injury. At the height of early teenage puberty around 13, I was horny in the shower, so I used shampoo to jerk off. All went as normal, but clearly some went in as I came. Within 5 minutes the burning started. Intense sharp pain that I tried to ignore because no way was I telling my parents what and why. Next morning I wake up and my is swollen. There's a golf ball sized bubble on the bottom where there's normally just vein meeting skin fold. WTF. Undaunted, I go to school because again, not telling my damn parents. That was a very slow walk to school and every step was pain. I skipped gym that day and remember peeing being the most intense pain. After a day or two of wondering how long is too long before I need to go to the hospital or maybe lose my before I ever get to use it properly, the swelling starts to fade, but my entire dick gets dry like if after a sunburn instead of peeling loosely, all of the skin got hard in larger pieces like peeling wallpaper. That didn't hurt beyond the itching. Oh, the itching. But that lead to the paranoia of what was next. Was this the beginning of something awful? Was I broken? Worse, was something so bad that I was gonna have to tell my parents? Within a couple days it all kinda fell/peeled off, and it was back to normal. I spent a month after paranoid it may come back or something worse was coming, until I eventually assumed I was in the clear. I never told a soul about that. Not my parents, not my friends, not doctor, but if I ever get cancer, I'm fairly certain I'll know from when. Getting eaten out at a park. It was dark and no one was around, but later found out you can be charged as a sex offender if caught regardless. I bought an 8-inch dildo. I'm a virgin. When I was 20, I drove 5 hours to lose my virginity to a married woman 6 years older than me while her husband was at work. When I found out Craigslist had a personal section, I searched for any Brits that were in the area. I was a sucker for a British accent, still am, pretty much, and found some dude who had a pretty stupid ad. Anyway, I met up with him just to hang out at first, and then we banged. He was an awkward and lanky fellow, or 3 at best, but he had a huge I swear it was the size of my wrist. IDK, ILK accents. I stuck my erect into a VCR once in the 90s. Does that count? Set up a train situation over Whisper years ago, when I was a very stupid 18-year-old. I fully intended on showing up and following through, until the main guy organizing it with me tried to talk me out of using condoms. Who knows what could have happened to me if he didn't say that. Scrolled through these comments. Took a plastic glove, filled it with lube, stuck my inside, applied pressure using my body weight between me and my bed, proceeded to hump till climax. I was about 13 at the time, and was bored with normal masturbating lol. I'll let a girl dry hump me a bunch of times, because she was a serious Christian who didn't want to lose her virginity before marriage. She was a solid 8 or 9, and seemed real conflicted on the issue. Dry humping through clothes is the absolute worst. She started wearing dresses and eventually no underwear, so I'd end up looking like I pissed myself. Then I ended up being the guy she was fooling around with, because her Christian boyfriends were always too afraid to do anything, or too holy and pure. So I ended up sleeping with her a bunch and I feel really guilty, because I feel like she had so many messed up ideas about sex and purity, and I felt just weird about the whole thing. She would go to a Christian event or church and feel guilty, and then we'd bone for like 3 weeks, and then same thing for about 2 years, and the only reason she wouldn't date me was because I wasn't Christian. Then come to find out she gave up on her religion later in life and I feel bad, like the religion out of her. I once was too early in school and was alone, so I did the only logical thing you could do in this situation. I jerked off in the hallway. Basically broke into my grandma's house to watch porn on my aunt's computer. Didn't actually break in, door was always unlocked, and I just happened to visit when no one was home. Was like 11 years old and just discovered internet porn LMAO. When I'm drunk and horny I become a sugar daddy. $1,100 just last night. An emo girl and we both were so horny she almost passed out, and I almost broke my neck from having actual rough sex. She was so horny she wanted to de-throat my cock and obviously I gave it to her. She turned almost blue and almost passed out from choking on it, and as my almost breaking my neck thing she was straddling me, and we were so loud and physical about it, she somehow pushed me off the bed and I landed on my neck. Looking back we were more messy than actually doing but it was fun. Sucked my ex's tit out in the open at a winery. No one saw us. If they did then hope they enjoyed it. Once tried to rub one out as a kid while my mom was sleeping right next to me. She must felt a vibration or heard the sound because she suddenly faced me and asked what the I was doing. Thankfully she was sleepy as hell and I got away with I was just checking it out. I drove 3 hours for a below average Tinder handy. I used to watch porn while driving. I'd keep it in the little GPS clip on my windshield and masturbate while I drove. I also told work I had a doctor's app so I could leave to bang an escort. Masturbating at my cubicle? I was expecting this thread to just be a list of names. As a broke-ass college student who couldn't afford a vibrator, and I got super hot reading a book once. So I started to touch myself. But my fingers weren't doing it. Damn those descriptions of long gentle strokes. So I grabbed the only thing I had, which was a highlighter, and slid into my naughty little self, and it was so hard. I hadn't had cock in a long time, so the stiffness made it feel big, and it was like I was getting raped by my own hand, which was a terrible turn on, and touching my clit after it was inside I was a bit of a puddle. Then post nut clarity / I was like nope. Why the did I do that? And I tossed the offending highlighter, as if it'll get rid of my shame faster. Unfortunately, as a student, that meant I needed to get a new highlighter, and I couldn't look at one without turning red for a good while. I pleasured myself with a toothbrush. It wasn't smart of me because 1, it wasn't my toothbrush, and 2, it was a wooden toothbrush. I still don't understand what exactly happened, but I ended up making myself bleed from it. It only burned to pee for a day. I haven't had any issues down there, so I'm good as far as I know. Decided to let him use a plastic bag as a condom for my first time. Threesome. I ended up walking out of 2 of them. I was annoyed. It ended up just being a competition, and that's not fun. My first girlfriend. When I was 15, I used to always get movie tickets for the last rows in the least popular sessions just to smash it out with my ex-GF every weekend. That was until I found out that there were cameras in the movies. Not that I mind the possibility of my sex tape going around. Also lost my virginity in a tent I got up on a public beach. Don't know which one is worse. My boyfriend on the couch in the living room as the apartment directly behind his was on fire. I don't wanna say, but it involves my couch. So I was at a friend's house and we've talked about creepy things, so when me and the others was about to leave, he asked if I could stay a while, and I told him I wanted to go home cause I was not feeling well. But he convinced me to stay, so I did, and we cuddled up together, and he put his hand on my hip and I just sat up and asked if I could suck him off, and so I did, and after a while we came in me and I was fine but that's not the stupid part, it's that I hate the guy. I got a girlfriend. I was experimenting with things to put my penis into, thinking it would feel good. A bag of warm noodles seemed like the most genius idea at the time. Turned out to be pretty stupid. Sigh. A rock. A long smooth rock with good girth. I should have boiled it beforehand or something. But I'd been cheated on and was angry and just needed a good without the. I just grabbed it in the moment. It was kind of empowering as I hadn't really masturbated before. And it was just as good or better than sex with the ex. Thankfully, nothing bad came of it. It was a cool rock I had picked up off a beach in Italy. Clicking on here to find the filthiest comment. A toilet paper roll. Sharing my kinks in Reddit. A girl at work. Flirting and joking she dared me to her. I said okay. She didn't believe me. She dropped her pants and panties and waited. So I dropped mine, yada yada yada, and then we had a laugh and went home. I played Yankee Doodle on my keyboard very hard and broke a key point ironically using my doodle. 2 things. This school year, I went on a 2-hour porn spree on my school-issued laptop. I almost got expelled, but ended up serving a detention. Either or jerking off at my desk in 1st grade inside a packed room. My teacher even said, "Hey buddy, what are you doing?" Jerked off in a cab on the way to school. I was 14. 14x orgasms just to see if I could do multiple, and I was 16 at the time point. We had a family get together and 1 bathroom. Spit into someone's mouth during sex leak they do in porn. She was super thirsty, so I was genuinely trying to rehydrate her. That did not go so well. But after I found a glass of water we proceeded with our thing. I do not know to this day what was it about. Attended a Shannon Nall concert. Multiple Shannon Nall concerts. Worth it. My college girlfriend used to masturbate with a wooden jump rope handle. We were talking dirty to each other on the phone one night and she grabbed the closest phallic shaped object she could find. It became a regular thing until we finally got the idea to buy her some sex toys. One of my best mate's ex-girlfriend not a week after they took a break. They got back together just a few days after the deed on a Monday, and I let him know it happened by the end of that week. He didn't hold it against me, but I knew it was a horny move. Had sex in a car in a parking garage with a complete stranger while drunk. I sucked my GF's toes at a party while we were sitting in the corner. Not sure if anybody saw it. We then had sex in the bathroom. When I was a teenager my first girlfriend and I went camping with friends in her gay best friend's parents' backyard. He stayed in our tent. My girlfriend and I had sex that night when we thought he was asleep. I found out later he wasn't asleep. Had sexual online relations with an 18-year-old as a 15-year-old. I was lonely and horny, and he didn't care about the age gap, so we sent pics and vids to each other, but TBH I feel kinda gross about it now. I'm in a FWB situation with a long-distance friend. I've spent way more than I should have going to visit him several times this year, including a week from now. I also buy him sex toys, so I can hear him use them on calls with me, because I figure, if I can't be there getting him off, I can at least help him get off. Sometimes he does it on video call. But it's still just so stupid. I'm a student with very little disposable income. Took a bunch of ecstasy one night my senior year of high school. Went to a fast food restaurant. I remember the lady at the cashier was gross. Hugely obese, much older, pimply face, yeah I know, the works. Anyway as I'm ordering from her I'm overcome with feelings of love, sexuality, and flirtation. So I flirted with her, batted my eyes and whatnot and fucking desired her. That's it. That's the end of my story. I know it's not much but that's always stuck with me. Gross. Oh. I've got another one. I'm uncircumcised. The first 2 times I got headed was excruciatingly painful. The girl giving head didn't know you shouldn't be pulling down the skin super hard. I, being me, didn't say anything. She tore my banjo string. Twice. About 2 weeks apart. I never said anything. Stupid. Humped the pillow. I was meeting someone late at night to hook up, and ended up hitting black ice, and slid into a truck, resulting in me totaling my car. Somehow I wasn't injured, but after realizing my car was and I wasn't gonna make it to the guy's house, I jerked off in the driver's seat while I waited for the police to show up. Also one of my bosses knew I had a thing for him, and even though he was straight he liked to tease me by rubbing up against me anytime he had to walk behind me, or accidentally angling his phone to where I could see his gallery which was full of half-naked pictures he'd taken of himself. I knew he just liked giving me a hard time and enjoyed my attention, but after our restaurant had closed one night a bunch of us stayed over to drink together like we often did, and I got really drunk and tried to make out with him. He ended up firing me, calling it sexual harassment. Track meet in high school at a faraway school. We pitched tents to stay warm. I brought my own. Got teased about us doing it in there as a joke, but we actually did it in there. As ballsy as that was, we later did it a second time. In the middle of a field, surrounded by 500-ish people. Looking back it's completely astounding we didn't get caught. *THEY probably knew though. Head in a church parking lot on Easter. I have a naked in public fetish, so once, during my college years, I drove from campus to the nearby state park, butt naked. Clothes locked in my trunk. It was a Sunday morning, no traffic on the roads or at the park. Took care of business in the park's parking lot. They came, honk honk, to my senses, got dressed, and went home. Used a family member's electric toothbrush on several occasions until one night I fell asleep before putting it back. IDK about stupid, but got an HJ while my buddy sat in the corner playing guitar. We thought we were being slick, as if he had no clue what was going on. He knew. Was prob 16 or 17. The same girl also gave me roadhead while her friend watched in the back. That was hot. Would have been hotter if her friend joined, but hey, can't complain lol. I paid to have my cock rated on Reddit. I took some pictures, sent them into an email and PayPal'd them some money. Then 3 girls rated it. I actually got a pretty good score, so it wasn't a complete waste, but what the was I thinking? Got into bed with my friend's girlfriend's friend. Just seeing if I could. Humped my bed when drunk, until I came in my underwear. Jerk off on a 12-hour road trip while driving. Counts if you instantly realize that is plain stupid. I hooked up with an ex, was an ex at the time, things got a little steamier, and I had unprotected sex with her, because I stupidly assumed she was using the pill. I have a terrible pull-out game, so it happened. I dashed like a stupid idiot in the middle of the night to the nearest pharmacy, and got an emergency pill, and reverted the crisis. I'm 100% committed now to only having sex after a vasectomy, not that I have many options.